In this episode of the PM Podcast, you will learn about all the exciting updates that are coming to the Certified Associate in Project Management, better known as the CAPM exam. Hello and welcome back to the Project Management Podcast at pm-podcast.com. This is episode number 433 and I'm Cornelius Fischner. I'm happy to have you here again. Are you by any chance thinking about becoming a Certified Associate in Project Management? Well, then you are in for a treat because the Project Management Institute, the PMI, is currently in the process of making a number of exciting changes to this exam, and we review all of them. There are some technical changes. For example, you will encounter 2 new question types on the exam, and PMI is also making it easier for everyone who is and will be CAPM certified if you decide to apply to take the Project Management Professional. That's the PMP exam later on. And here to talk to us about these changes is no other than Sierra Hampton Simmons. Sierra has nearly 2 decades of experience as an expert in certification management and joined PMI in late 2013. Currently, she serves as the portfolio leader and head of certification products. This means that she is responsible for the entire portfolio of certification products, including the CAPM certification. So she is the perfect person to talk to about this. Well then, let's hear what's coming to the CAPM. Hello, Sierra, and welcome to the Project Management Podcast.
Oh, hello. Thanks for welcoming me.
Well, thank you for stopping by. So we want to talk about the Certified Associate in Project Management, the CAPM exam. That's our main focus here today. But first, let's talk about you. What is your role within PMI?
I am the portfolio leader for certification. And what that means is I head up the whole certification product team.
All right. So fair to say that you are the person who has the overall responsibility for all certifications at PMI?
That is correct.
All right. And how exactly are you involved in the changes that are currently happening and coming to the CAPM exam?
Well, I've led up the research that actually led to us making this change, and the folks who are actually executing that change actually report directly into me. So I coach them through the process.
All right. Well, thank you very much for introducing yourselves. But now let's jump over to the CAPM exam because there are a lot of exciting developments happening at PMI. And the CAPM is just one of them. Let's see. First of all, I think the 1,500 work experience requirement for new CAPM applicants will be eliminated. So what does that mean for the candidates?
Well, what that means is that we're basically removing one of the barriers that it takes to get the exam. We are making it a little bit easier for people to raise their hand and say that they want to take the CAPM and show that they're eligible.
Mm-hmm. So that means that basically if you come out of college or university and you may not have experience yet, you can still take the CAPM already?
Yes, you can.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right.
And what is the main reason for doing that change?
Well, interesting enough, all the changes that we've been making recently are based on data. So in looking at our data, historical data for the CAPM, what we noticed is that most of the candidates were using, instead of the 15 hours of experience, they were using the 23 hours of contact hours and the training experience that they had instead. So what that indicated to us is that most people hadn't accumulated that much work experience as of yet. We did some further research asking hiring managers what they looked for and what they expected of a CAPM. And more often than not, they said to us that while some of them would have some project experience, they used this as a way to get their foot in the door. So they didn't really expect them to have vast amounts of experience. So we're actually just aligning to the actual world.
Yeah. And just to clarify here, it was either or in the past, right? You could either have the 1,500 hours or 23 hours of training. You didn't need both.
Exactly.
Right. And also, just to be absolutely clear, this is for anyone taking the exam in the future. This has no effect on anyone who's already certified.
That's correct. This is a forward-looking change.
All right. But the second change that PMI is going to implement does have a positive effect for everyone who is and who will be CAPM certified. And that is the fact that you are waiving the 35 hours of education requirement for any CAPM holders who then later on apply for the PMP exam. So what exactly does that mean and how will that work?
Well, basically, what we know again from our research is while we've only required as many as 23 hours for CAPMs to be eligible, usually they're taking a considerable amount more than 23 hours to prepare for the test. So they take 23 hours of training, plus they do studying on their own and what have you. And so what we're actually doing is acknowledging that someone who's already gotten the CAPM has already probably hit that 35 hours, if not exceeded it. And so why make them do that all over again? Let's acknowledge what we know they've already gotten.
Right. And of course, it also helps in your career path.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It shows that you've had a commitment to project management for a longer time.
All right. Next, PMI also announced that there will be 2 new question types for the CAPM. The first one is matching questions, and the second one is multiple choice questions where multiple answers are correct. Let's look at each separately here. So first of all, the matching questions. On the website, it says that test takers will see 2 lists, for example, project management processes and projects groups, and then be asked to match the items from one list with the items on the other list. Can you tell us a little bit more about these?
Yes, actually, these are pretty standard item questions that are seen throughout the education space, and PMI is adopting them to really make sure that we improve the experience of test takers. It allows us to get away from having very lengthy text items where we're trying to define terms that can seem to be a little bit tricky to people. This one is a little bit more straightforward where you're just matching the term to its definition, and we think that overall, again, that will really improve the experience.
And is this sort of a visual thing, like a drag and drop, or is it like 2 drop-down lists where I select from? How does this look visually?
Visually, it is like a drag and drop. So you will have to take your mouse and drag one term to the corresponding definition. We are going to experiment a bit with different ways of presenting this visually, but overall, it is dragging and dropping.
Okay. And the second one is the multiple choice questions with multiple correct answers. And again, it says on the website, multiple choice questions with a single correct answer are already on the CAPM exam. This new question format will ask test takers to identify a specific number of correct answers. The instructions will tell the candidates exactly how many answers they must select. Again, my question for you, how will this work?
Well, let me stop a minute and tell you why we're doing this.
Okay.
Since we've added a number of items to the CAPM on Agile to correspond to the Agile content that's in the PMBOK guide, we find that oftentimes those answers are, it depends. It's not A or B. It could be A and or B, right? And so to really acknowledge that, what we're doing is adopting this type of question to really allow us to ask more questions about Agile. So that's the rationale for doing it. Candidates will get partial credit at this time. We are experimenting with that and looking at all the data. Maybe we'll adjust over time, but right now we are going to be able to get partial credit.
Okay. So first of all, let me just go back and talk about the Agile piece quickly because the CAPM is fully based on the PMBOK guide, currently the 6th edition, and the PMBOK Guide 6th edition does include Agile in the various chapters. So that's the Agile portion that you're taking there, right?
Correct.
Yeah. When you buy or download the PMBOK Guide 6th edition, it comes with the Agile Practice Guide as a separate document. So CAPM candidates, they're not required to read that publication as well, right?
No, they are not. The CAPM is based solely on the PMBOK Guide 6th edition currently. And so in that 6th edition guide, there are sections and content that covers Agile practices as well.
All right. And then the partial credit. So let's say the question says, here are four possible answers. Please select two. And I select two. One of them is right and one of them is wrong. So I get half of a point.
Exactly.
Very interesting. All right. Yeah. My obvious next question has to be, since you're introducing these two question types in the CAPM, is PMI planning to do something similar in the future, say for the PMI ACP or for the PMP, that these question types are coming here as well?
Yes, we are doing a lot of experimentation with new item types this year. So you'll be able to see these types of innovations in all of our certification exams coming soon.
All right. And just out of pure interest, is PMI planning to roll out these new question types also for other exams?
Yes, that is our intention. We will be rolling out all types of innovative item types throughout this year and next. And it's based on lots of research we have of the types of questions that would be appropriate for our audience.
And there's one more thing that I'd like to talk about here, and that is the fact that you can actually take and pass the CAPM exam online on your computer at home, right?
That is correct. That is correct. We call it online proctoring, which is relatively new for PMI. We've been doing it a couple of years for CAPM and just introduced it this year for ACP as well.
Right. And how does this work? Sort of a quick overview of the process. I'll just sit at home. I have to have a camera, I guess. And then what happens next?
Right. You are required to have a camera. You got that exactly right. We usually request that candidates who want to use this type of modality prior to actually sitting down to take the test, run some tests on their computers. And there's a link to do that both on the Pearson VUE website and ours as well, I believe. In any event, when you log in, you will engage with a proctor who is remote from you. You can see their video camera. They can see yours. It is very high security in that they will have you pick up your laptop and with the camera, show them everything that's in your room. They may even ask you to take things off the wall or remove things from the desk or table you're sitting at, all in the interest of security. And at that point, they will allow you to take the test. You can actually interact with the admin and ask questions as you would in a regular test center through some tools that they have there and engage with them. And of course, as you're taking the test, they're available. But if they notice that something is incorrect, they will end the test if they feel like it's something that they can't control or there's any security risk.
Okay. All right. That's it. So these are all the changes that are coming to the CAPM exam. We have the 1,500-hour work experience that's being waived. Then the 35 hours of education are going to be waived when you go to take the PMP. We have the matching questions. We have the multiple choice questions with multiple answers, and you can take it at home. Finally, what are your recommendations for anyone who is thinking of taking the CAPM exam? What should they think about? How should they approach it?
Yes, well, it's really important to point out again or emphasize the fact that this is an exam based solely on the PMBOK Guide 6th edition. That's a rather large publication of PMIs. And for those who don't have a lot of experience in project management, it can be a bit daunting. So one of the things I recommend is that people get a good training course. PMI has offered a couple of training courses. One is PM Basics, and it's really intended to help break down that very lengthy publication in terms that someone who's new to the industry can understand and better help them to prepare for the exam. So there are a lot of other courses just like that one, but I do highly recommend that someone take a really good course, not something that's just a cram, but something that's actually going to teach them the project management principles that will be covered in the test.
And you are preaching to the choir. Sierra, thank you so much for your time and introducing us to all these great changes that are coming to the CAPM exam. Appreciate it.
Oh, I appreciate you having me, and thank you.
Sierra Hampton-Simmons is the portfolio leader and head of certification products at PMI, responsible for the entire portfolio of certification products. And that's it. Thank you very much for listening. Please visit pm-podcast.com for show notes, links, transcripts, and PDU information. Our email address is info@pm-podcast.com. And finally, we have this. I wish I could forget all those embarrassing moments in my life as easily as I seem to forget everything that I studied just before taking an exam. Until next time.